Gin and tonic, please.
Belay that order, Dana. Lagavulin neat. Clear alcohols are for rich women on diets.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Geeks. My name is Tim.
And I'm Alex. We are two brothers on a quest to bring you the perfect pairing of whiskey and comics.
Yes, we are, and we are coming back with another redo. This is another episode that we did. We first recorded this December, like 6-8 months ago, when we were first starting to crank out the content, or sorry, backloading the content, and we didn't do a video portion. It was audio only, so we thought we would redo it, and for a couple of reasons. That's the main reason. A second reason is this whiskey and comic book are both amazing, so why not drink more of it and talk more about that book? So, Alex, why don't you tell them? There's a hint. It's in the. I mean, you already know what it is.
It's in the title. Yeah.
Title. They already know what it is. What are we talking about and drinking?
So we are drinking the exclusive Nick Offerman Lagavulin, which is an 11-year-old Lagavulin, where the barrels are specifically selected by Mr. Offerman himself. And we have paired this up with Shirtless Bear Fighter, which
a hilarious book.
This is one of the funnest reads that I've had in the past year. I dip back into it every now and again, just because there's like a couple quick hitting parts that are so funny. It's a really fun book. It will make you laugh. It's not super serious, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, which is awesome.
Which is kind of what we do too. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We don't take whiskey overly seriously either. We drink what we like, and we like to take the pretension out of it. So yes, Nick Offerman. So when we first recorded this was the only Nick Offerman Edition Lagavulin that was available. Recently, as we are now recording this in 2021, in the springtime, they just announced that for Father's Day this year, there is a second edition of Offerman coming out, which is also an 11-year-old, but is finished in Guinness barrels, which hasn't hit the Canadian market yet. At least I haven't seen it yet.
I've been looking.
Yeah, we will be getting a bottle of it, hopefully. Fingers crossed. We'll try and get a bottle of it, because I really want to try that one. But so this is last year's version. Just getting that out there, because timing-wise, people are probably going to think, oh my gosh, how'd they get that? We're not that fancy. We don't have that much pull yet. We're working on it.
Yeah, we're really trying to get those advanced bottles, before they hit market, sent to us, here, please review this. Yeah.
Do you know what would really help is if everybody would hit that subscribe button down below, and then, maybe share this videos, like it, leave us a review on the podcast, and rate and review it on the old Apple and all that stuff, because that really helps us as well. That helps us get to that influencer status, and then we will get dope ass
free bottles of bottles. Yeah.
Hell yeah. But this is really great. So Nick Offerman,
a national treasure.
One of my favorite, I want to say, I've never met him personally, but one of my favorite actors for sure. Huge Parks and Rec fan. And then anything that he pops up in, I always giggle a little bit. Like he has a part in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, in an episode where he was Holt's ex-boyfriend, which so good. And they had a big fight over a duck, a wooden duck.
Oh, that's right.
This is just right on brand for Offerman. So he's like you said, a national treasure. I really do think that he had a huge influence on Lagavulin's popularity during when Parks and Rec was on TV. If you've never watched Parks and Rec, what are you doing with your life? Please go watch Parks and Rec. But his character, Ron Swanson, exclusively drinks Lagavulin 16. Spoiler, Alex, I'll dunk on you a little bit. You haven't gotten all the way through it. I'm going to give you a little spoiler. Sorry. There's a one point in the run of the show, he goes to Lagavulin, to the distillery. Okay. So he's obviously a massive fan. I do think that he had a fairly big influence on their sales.
Oh yeah, I would think so. I mean, the marketing alone for this bottle and this campaign was incredible.
It's great.
And there's even at at Christmas time, I can't remember what year it was, but they released that an hour-long loop of just a video of him sitting in front of a crackling fireplace, just very stoic and he just reaches and sips Lagavulin and then puts it back
So
down.
good.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's so good. And when this was coming out, I think when this one was coming out last year, he was on they did a huge marketing campaign with like the history of Isla and like the peat, and he did this. There's a whole bunch of videos of him like dressed as William Wallace talking about they can take our lives, but they'll never take our peat.
Yeah.
And it was really, really funny. So we can, I'm about halfway through this bottle now. I've had it for about a year. A celebrity endorsed whiskey that, celebrity endorsed alcohols kind of can be hit and miss, I think. Which other ones have you had before we get into the tasting notes on this? Because I want to let this breathe and I just want to smell it a little bit. But I mean, there's Gretzky's whiskey. Have you had that? It's fine.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Well, I can't point backwards when it's up in behind the Canadian section over there somewhere. I've got a small bottle of the 99 back there. Yeah. It's my impressions of that were, wow, this is a Canadian rye. It was fine. I haven't had like the special reserve that they have as well, but it's fine. I haven't had, was apparently like Metallica has one,
whiskey in a jar or something like that.
Yeah. So I haven't, like just doing some research of some other ones. I came across that at some point. I was like, oh, that might be fun. Haven't had that.
Shout out to the Whiskey Heathens. Josh, Know Your Whiskey. They did I think it was Slipknot to have a bourbon.
Oh, okay.
Or a whiskey or something like that. So that they drank that on their show. You know what? Whoop, their YouTube channel just popped up below. Go watch that because it was really funny. I haven't tried it. You would think here, and I don't even know if this exists, but it should. You would think the band Korn would have some sort of corn mash.
Yeah.
like that marketing writes itself.
Yeah.
Now you've had the Rocks tequila.
Yes.
Terramana.
Yeah,
you picked that up.
Yeah. So I picked up a bottle of that, and I mean, price point wise, it was right around the 45 like Canadian dollars, and it was like I got the oh boy, the dark. There's a real name for that. Whatever.
This isn't a tequila channel, folks.
Yeah,
it's a whiskey
don't know.
channel. Don't worry about it.
But anyways, the main reason I picked it up was actually to prep a cask, which I then put Bowmore 12 into, and then finished off a Bowmore 12 with the tequila, which we'll do at some point. Yeah. But it was really nice. It added like a nice spiciness to the whiskey. Cool. So, but yeah, it was nice and smooth. I mean, there's a couple vodka, right? Like, doesn't P. Diddy
Crystal
have
Skull.
a vodka?
Yeah, I don't know if it's Crystal Skull. There's a Skull one that's Dan Aykroyd.
Okay. And Ciroc, isn't that the one?
Ciroc? No, I think that's just. I mean, that could be Diddy's. I have no idea.
Again,
it's a bunch of hip hop guys have. Look, Drake has a whiskey. I haven't tried it, but I know Drake's got one. Randomly enough, the reason I know that Skull one was Dan Aykroyd, that there was one time that I was going to an LCBO here in London, and the fucking Ghostbusters car was parked out front of the LCBO.
Really?
And I walked in and I was like, what the hell's going on? And Dan Aykroyd was there giving out samples of his friggin' vodka. And it was just like, what? It was the
what is going on?
And it was like a Tuesday night in like November or something like that. It was the most random thing ever. Yeah, it was really weird. So that's the only reason I know that one's there. Yeah. But this 11-year-old Lagavulin. So Lagavulin 16, I mean, we've done that previously. We have a pairing video for that. You can go and check that out at the channel or listen to that podcast. It was the very first one that we did.
Yes, it was.
So Lagavulin 16 has a real soft spot, I think, for both of us. It is a always have a bottle in the house bottle for me.
Yep, absolutely.
I will never not have a Lagavulin 16. Yeah, there's very, very few of those bottles that will always be in my collection. Buna 18 is one of them as well. Clearly we're Isla fans. And then from the Lagavulin side, I've got a couple of Distillers exclusives, fortunately, which are really nice. They're also 16, like a jazz festival release and a Face Shield, the Isla festival. And then I think I've tried the 8.
The Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones was a 9.
I think it was a 9. So that was the House Lannister.
House Lannister
from Game of Thrones.
And then they came out with a 12 too, didn't they?
They have. There's a special. Well, I can't remember the name of the like the exclusive bottlings that were coming out, but it was like the
Right.
Nature series,
Yeah.
and
I think it was a Diageo thing, right? It was like a cross from Diageo thing.
Yeah. So, and I can't remember if that was an 8 or if that was a 12.
Right.
Either
Someone
way,
will correct us. So,
or we'll put it in the bing.
We'll link to it somewhere. So for the most part, Lagavulin hits pretty well, but so the 11, right away, for me at least, it's a Lagavulin.
Yeah. You're not going to mistake this for something else.
No, they didn't do anything goofy. In my opinion, they basically just like, yep, this is the standard Lagavulin, and then sure, Offerman, and it's rejuvenated oak and bourbon, first fill bourbon.
Yeah.
Are the casks. So nothing crazy. It's not like a wine cask finish or no sherry cask or anything like that. So it's pretty much a younger 16.
Yeah. It's not quite as smooth as the 16-year-old. There's a little bit more like just a little bit more heat. Like it's not like, doesn't get spicy by any means, but like there's a little bit there in the mouthfeel. And yeah, it's not quite as well rounded off as the 16. That being said, it hits a lot of it does hit a lot of the notes of the 16 really well. And like you said, the second you smell it, like it is very clearly like, oh, this is Lagavulin peat. This is not a Lefroy, or it's not a Ardbeg. Like you smell this and you know it's a Lagavulin.
Yeah, it doesn't have the iodine-ness that like Lefroy. Like Lefroy's really, really iodine medicinal.
Yeah.
And then I find like, Ardbeg's a different kind of peat as well. Coleel is a softer peat for sure. And then you get into like the Taliskers, the non-Isla, which is like salty sea spray. Yeah. Same with like Buna when they use peat, the Toichanaga, when they decide to go peated, it's a sweeter. This is a spicier peat to me and smooth
smoke.
The one thing I really get on this whiskey, and I remember when I wrote the article, which you can go to thewhiskeygeeks.com for the article that goes with this. What it really reminds me of, the spiciness for me in this, it's almost meaty. It's like peppercorny and meaty, and like the way I've described it, it could be how I described it in the article, but I know it's how I've described it to other people is like, when you get a prime rib, or like a nice roast beef, and it's got that like
nice layer on the edge,
on the outside, that like spicy, almost burnt kind of layer of prime rib spice, or like steak spice. Like I get a lot of that kind of spice in this for me. Other people probably get some different stuff, but for me, that's what I get. Spice rub, steak rub with like a nice layer of smoke, like brisket almost, which is like perfect for Offerman because it's just like a manly man.
Yeah. Well, I remember the one, like going back to Parks and Rec, he goes up for a dinner and he's like, oh, what do you got on the grill? And they're like, you got steaks on there? He's like, no, it's a portobello mushroom caps. And he's like, oh, and like he almost passes out because there's no meat. And it's just, like he wants that smoked brisket.
Hell yeah, he does.
It is really interesting how those flavors like sort of like pair so well.
Yeah. And it also goes really well with the book.
I was just gonna try and segue over to the book and like why did we put these two together? So Nick Offerman, if I could think of someone to play Shirtless Bear Fighter, like in a adaptation, like a limited series of this book, like I would want Nick Offerman. For those that haven't read the book or don't know much about it, it's very much what the title suggests. It is about Shirtless. That is his name, Shirtless. And he lives in the woods naked. And I mean, sometimes he's got jeans. And he basically fights bears. Because bears killed his family when he was growing up. And he now is a protector of the forest. And he walks around punching bears. Bear punch or bear kick.
But it was like... everything is like bear related, which is really funny. He has a bear plane.
Oh, he sure as hell does.
A jet that has bear fur and a bear face on it. Wasn't there something like kind of Jungle Booky though, where he was raised by bears?
Yes.
And then they turned on his wife when he got married and killed his wife. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the bears that raised him.
Right.
Other bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the story starts with like bears attacking. I can't remember the name of the city now. Damn it.
It was just like Capital City
or something like that.
Or Central City. I
mean,
it wasn't Central City, but it was like generic city.
Yeah. So these bears start attacking, and then the FBI, the FBI's like, oh, I know who to get. And then they go into the woods, and then they just pick up this guy, and they pay him in flapjacks.
Oh, they sure do. Not pancakes.
Not pancakes. How dare you? Flapjacks.
And pure maple syrup, which to test the quality of, he puts like a little dollop on his finger and rubs it on his gums.
Fucking Coke addict. It's so good. So the book's really tongue in cheek in that way. It doesn't take itself seriously at all. It has a hilarious. There's one page in particular that just kills me every time, and it's him going to like different cities to fight the bears
that are taking over all of the U.S.
the whole of the U.S. and it's just two panels in particular that really get me, and I'll only tell one of them because I don't want to spoil all of it. But one of them is he goes to Chicago and you just see him punching the football team, the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, he goes to Soldier Field.
He just goes to Soldier Field and just is fighting the football team. And then there's other jokes in that page of the different cities he goes to and the bears that he fights. And it just, it's so funny. And how I discovered this book was actually, I was just at the comic shop at Heroes. Shout out to them. I do it every time, but they're my local comic shop and they're amazing. Go to Heroes Comic. I'm going to put their site because I don't want to say it right now and I'll forget it. So their site just flashed up and it'll be in the description for the podcast, folks, but go and check them out. But I was just there talking to Chris, one of the managers, and we were just like chit chatting, and he was just randomly was just like, "Have you read Shirtless Bear Fighter?" And I was like, "Have I read what?" And he literally pushed me out of the way. He was like, "Move," and just like went to the back.
Oddly enough, I was with you.
Oh, you were with me at that time.
Like I was actually I was down there visiting, and I was standing behind you. So when he pushed you to get out of the way, like you hit me, and like I think my son was there with me, and so then I went backwards and I bumped into him as he like made his way over to the rack to pull this trade off, and he was like, "Just buy this."
Chris is also not a small individual.
No, I'm 6'4", 230, and he's significantly taller and bigger than I am.
Yeah. An amazing artist though. And you know what? Runciman Press. I'm going to give him a shout out too.
Yeah.
Runciman Press, Chris Runciman, phenomenal comic book artist in his own right. And he's writes some really cool books too. So there's another plug for that. And that link's going to go up. So anyway, so he suggested, and it was just like, just buy this. And I was like, oh, really? And he said, just trust me, just buy it. And I did. And I was very happy that I did because it rules.
Yeah.
But you had some stuff you wanted to talk about specifically with the book, didn't you?
Yeah. So I just did a quick list of just things that I loved, because I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to spoil this book, because the fun of this is actually the going through and reading it and being hit with these jokes. So like, I don't want to go into all of that, but I've got 9 quick things that I really liked about this book that I just wanted to bring up. So number one, we already talked about, he gets paid in flapjacks. How dare you call them pancakes? The rookie FBI agent, sort of like the up and coming hotshot, she actually says like, we're going to pay him in pancakes. And Shirtless, like he like growls, and the agent like puts his hand on her, and he's like, Shirtless, no, she meant flapjacks. It's okay. And like, so clearly there, there's a thing there.
So funny.
They actually redact all the curse words.
Oh,
so like when they swear, they black it out, which I found really amusing that they would do. And following up to that, they pixelate the nudity. So at one point he suplexes a bear, and it's like this 3-panel art piece, and it's hilarious because you see him just standing there, and he's got like pixelations down past his knee.
A hammer.
And then he does this suplex, and it just like pixelates up and backwards as he's, you know, like doubling over backwards. Anyways,
The whole flop.
burst out laughing when I saw that. His weakness is you put a shirt on him. So at one point he gets captured and they put this flannel shirt on him and he can't like get out of his restraints, you know, like super strength, and he can, you know, fight bears, but, you know, put a t-shirt on him and he's pretty much useless. The fact that he just hates bears and like his duty is just like wandering naked through the woods, protecting people from bears and just punching bears is just seems, it's, you know, it's a simple life.
Yeah.
He's not a complicated man. His bear punch and bear kicks, and this is like a nice homage to like Batman.
Yeah, the 66 Batman show.
Yeah, where it's like bat, you know, like, and it's just like boom piff, except
pow.
it's like bear punch, bear kick.
Yeah.
So that was really like, that's just really fun, and that like is through the whole thing.
Yeah.
We said again, his bear plane reminds me very much of the van from Dumb and Dumber. with the fur. Yes. Because it's exactly that. Except it looks like the jet from X-Men that they have from the animated show. It's just like, take that exact design, put brown bear fur on the front, and put eyes on the top of it, and that's what he flies.
Yeah, it's a fuzzy Quinjet. It's hilarious.
And then the last thing, and this is going to hit you right in the
right in the feels.
Right in the feels. It reminds me so much of Zangief fighting Blanca from Street Fighter.
Oh my god, I forgot.
It's just shirtless Zangief, all like he's got like the bear skin like Speedo basically, and all the scars and
really
everything.
Hairy chest too.
Very hairy. Like bear, like animal.
Oh yeah.
Austin Powers. And then Blanca just as the bears. And it reminded me very much of those like those old like cartoon comic fights.
Zangief, man, what a did you ever use Zangief? I don't know if I know anybody who ever used Zangief in Street Fighter.
Not on purpose.
Hey, Ryu and Ken, right?
Yeah.
Ryu,
and
Ken,
Vega. Because
Vega
I liked because he could climb on he could actually
cage.
Climb on the cage and his claws. So I didn't mind using him.
I mean, Chun-Li
was
and E Honda were always fun.
Yeah.
But Zangief was a
Dalsum, because you could like the stretchy two hand like punch.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I always used Ryu.
I liked Sagat too. Tiger
uppercut.
Tiger knee. I like that guy too. But yeah, I honestly think there's no way to prove this, but I would say that Zangief is probably one of the least chosen characters in Street Fighter 2. If you use Zangief, please let us know.
I don't even remember what his moves were.
He had like a big clap.
What did he do?
He had a suplex that he would grab you and jump.
It's the suplex, right? Oh, that's right.
Or like a power bomb kind of pile driver thing was his big.
Okay.
His big thing.
I just
didn't
remember
have like a fireball or anything that he threw.
I just remember him being like very tall and upright and just sort of like jabbing.
Yeah.
Like straightforward.
How do we forget about Guy or Guile?
Guile. Yeah. Sonic Boom.
Yeah, that guy's dope.
Yeah.
One of the best sound bites. I'm going to put that in a bunch right here.
Sonic Boom.
There you go. That along with like a lot of the Mortal Kombat, like
fatality.
But that Sonic Boom soundbite from Street Fighter is a great one.
Just great. I should make that my text alert tone.
Should. We also do need to shout out the creators of Shirtless Bear Fighter. So Jody Lehup, I hope I'm saying that right, and Sebastian Gerner are the writers and creators of that. And then the artists Nil Vendrell and Mike Spicer. The whole team is just fantastic.
Yeah,
like the colors are great. It's bright, like you said. It's like that throwback to the '90s cartoons. It's just like bright and in your face. It's not
high saturation.
Yeah,
colors.
High saturation. It's just really, really in your face, and a really, really fun read. So go buy Shirtless Bear Fighter. It's great.
Yeah, a lot of fun, really, and it's just on like it's on my shelf as something that I'll just like go and if I've got, 10 minutes to kill and I'm not sure what to read, like it's a fun thing to just pick up, open it wherever, read for 10 minutes and you're going to laugh a few times.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And Image Comics, man. The more and more we do this, Image is just...
Yep.
We'll get into more DC and Marvel books, folks, I promise. We've been hitting a lot of
We've been hitting some of our, like just some of our sort of favorites too early, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
and like on the short box too, keep checking us out. Because if this is your first time watching or listening, we do weekly. We have another episode that we call the short box, which is like a 5 to 8 minute review of a book. And I did another Image book last week. I did Paper Girls. So
yeah.
And actually, I think got another smaller one this week too that we just posted. I'm not going to say what it is, but in case we changed it,
or in case you're doing this out of order or whatever.
I never know what order we're going to do things in, but
yeah.
But yeah, we will be getting into DC and hitting some of the biggies, so don't worry. But Image Comics, man, they knock it out of the park.
Just doing a lot of good work. Work. So now, do you want to go back and just talk about the whiskey here for a second? Or
I kind of do want to just hit a little bit more on this because we didn't really talk about the packaging. So the packaging for this is pretty great. Nick Offerman, for those who don't know, not only just an actor, but he's a very, very accomplished woodworker. He's got an Offerman wood shop that you can actually go and buy stuff at that they make. They make like a lot of ukuleles and combs and tables and a whole bunch of
wooden ducks.
They probably do wooden decoys, but like the box for this actually came out in like a wood grain, which was really, really great marketing. But all in all, we didn't really go over a lot of the notes on this. So 46% alcohol, 46% ABV for this. So it's, substantial. It's not like 40. Now it doesn't, here's a question that I actually don't know. And people are probably going to get really mad at me for not knowing this. Does Lagavulin, their non-chill filter, no color added?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to just say yes. I've got.
You want to double check it on that 16 because it doesn't say on this.
No?
Which I find kind of crazy. And now that's going to go to a conversation that we can have as well. I don't know if we want to do it here, if we want to do it on another episode where we get real geeky and just talk about.
I mean, I just want to say, yes, of course it's non-chill filtered and no color added, but it also doesn't say on the bottle of 16 either. Now the 16 is 43%, so it's a little bit lower on the ABV. But if you want to talk a little bit more about this, I will do some quick internet wizardry and I'll just find out.
Cool. Because I mean, the one thing I will say is I was watching some Whiskey Tube stuff on some reviews and some other Diageo products, and someone mentioned that they are not beholden to the non-chill filter, no color added, and so it actually might be chill filtered. Now here's the thing. Here's the controversial point that I'm going to make right now, and it could just be that I haven't really dove into this all that much. I know there is a massive push right now from a lot of reviewers, Whiskey Tube, whiskey podcast people who are really upset at like the likes of Glendronach, who just announced that they're going to start chill filtering. I don't know if I could taste the difference right now.
So the 16 is chill filtered.
There you go.
And so, we've learned something.
Right? So there's this whole push about like everything has to be non-chill filtered. Yeah. One of my favorite whiskeys is chill filter. Now, people will say they chill filter for consistency's sake. I think the counter argument to that would be someone like Bunnahabhain and Deanston, who are very, very express in there. We do not chill filter and we do not add color. And I find that their products are always consistent.
Yeah.
Always, always, always. But I think that's really interesting because like a lot of people dunk on the chill filter thing, and like if Lagavulin 16 is chill filtered,
it's hard to argue that it's no good. Now,
exactly.
so I just want to like read the little blurb here just about the like what chill filtering.
Just real quick, if people can hear what sounds like somebody dying in the background on
Is
my
it your cat?
microphone.
Is it Podcat?
It's not Podcat. That would be my child.
I know it is. Yeah.
So my child is not happy.
No.
The moment. Someone's getting teeth, so it kind of hurts.
And someone is also, just to make sure that everyone knows that you're not a completely irresponsible father. There is someone else there who's attending to this.
Correct. Yeah. I just want to point that out so people weren't just like, who's dying in the background of this podcast? Anyway, we're good.
So chill filtering, the manufacturing process where the temperature of the liquid is lowered until some of the oils and fatty acids congeal, which is then allowed them to be sieved out when it passes through the filtration system. Right. So it takes some of that out, which actually will affect the mouthfeel, because you're going to be pulling some of those oils out. And so that being said, I don't know, Lagavulin 16, if it's always chill filtered, there's nothing to compare it against. If we wanted to do a bunch of me live Googling stuff right now, I might be able to find, but I don't really care that much, because
maybe we'll do a special. We'll bring some other whiskey experts in, some other people who do this, who might be a little bit more, I'll say knowledgeable about like what to look for in the differences between chill filtered and non-chill filtered. And maybe we'll do a special edition podcast down the road where we explore this a little bit more. I actually know a couple people that I think we could reach out to, but we'll talk about that off air. So I think it's safe to assume.
I was going to say, or if you check our guides in the how flavor is created in whiskey, we have not posted the part yet that gets into filtration. However, that will be coming at some point, so you can check that out too.
There you go. Head to thewhiskeygeeks.com, and in the menu, there's a guides section. So if you click on whiskey, there's some intro to whiskey and then like how flavors added and stuff. So go and check those out. So I think it's probably safe to say that this was chill filtered then.
I would assume so. I assume if they do it for the 16, they would do it for the 11 as well.
They do it across the board. Cool. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
We all learned something. Thank you, internet. And I just want to hit on the finish of this before we get to our fancy end piece of the podcast where we talk about something else.
As Tim drinks into the microphone.
Sorry. It was probably really loud. I'll mute that. That's probably super gross. When you got I got new headphones, so these earbuds, I really can't hear as much. So apologies if that was super gross. The finish on this, it's not necessarily long for me. It's kind of like average, and that like spiciness just kind of hangs there, but it's super pleasant.
Yeah, it really is.
This could, so price point. I think when this came out, it was 115, like 115, 120.
I think it might have been a little higher, but it was around there
in Ontario. And the 16 is what?
It's around 150. Yeah.
150.
So yeah, so we're talking like a $30 difference.
Kind of fun one-off. Sure. My kind of thought with the Lagavulin line, with like the 8 specifically, the 8 to 12, like those other ones.
Yeah.
Because those are usually around the like 110 as well. I always tell people, like, if you're going to spend 120, just spend 150 and get the 16.
Yeah.
Because it's that much better.
Yeah.
I think the 16 is vastly superior to this 11, but the 11 is really nice. If it wasn't like a one-off and you kind of can't get it, I think I'd be like, it's a really, I don't want to say an everyday sipper because it's too expensive for that, but it's not in that like you have to save it for special occasions because it's just such an experience. But it's, it's a really good Isla whiskey.
It's a Lagavulin. They're all kind of an experience. I love their use of the peat. I love how it's more of the like the ash smoke peat that you get, as opposed to some of the like the brinier or the saltier peats of other ones. I mean, I also like those as well, but for this, I really enjoy this. But you're right, for the price point, it's a really fun bottle to have. It's something cool to have in the collection. Like you said, and being a huge Nick Offerman fan, there's also that piece too, right? It's there's that novelty of having something that is associated with something else that you really enjoy. So,
Yeah.
And it's a cool, it's a cool box. It's different. It looks different than everything else that you've got on your shelf. Not that we're into collecting whiskey for the sake of having unopened bottles to do something with later. Like, that's not what we're into whiskey for. Some people do. That's fine. Like, we get bottles to enjoy and to share, to share with other people. We really, enjoy sharing what we have in our collection.
Yeah.
So this is like, thank you for sending the sample up to me. Like, it
Hey.
was really nice. And so we actually did, when we did this before, so I had the sample and then I kept a little back so that we could actually compare. And after we finished recording the first one, we then poured some 16 and did a little back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
And I mean, we came out at the end saying the 11's really good, the 16's a little better.
Yeah.
And when you spend 5 extra years in the cask, age isn't everything. There are some really good non-age statement whiskeys that are out there that we both really enjoy.
For those just listening, I just pointed at a bottle of Octomore.
Yeah. A 5-year-old whiskey that is phenomenal and incredibly complex. Yeah. A lot of people say, like, the longer something is in the cask, the more complex it will be, the more the sort of the rough edges get rounded out and it gets smoother. I mean, all those things are true. That doesn't mean that something that's younger can't also be really enjoyable and really good. So I really do enjoy the 11. It's great.
Yeah. I agree. Well said.
Yeah,
we'll get to a little bit more when we get to the rating on this. We'll get to a little bit. I got one other thing I want to say, but I'm going to save it for that.
Save it for that. So for the sort of fun extra thing that we're doing tonight, because Lagavulin is nicely so closely associated with Ron Swanson, we thought we would pick up on that and do some other sort of iconic drinks in movies, comics. I know a lot of drinks in video games, but movies generally. I think
movies.
that's what I've got my list for. So
TV.
A little TV. So do you want to start or do you want me to hit it off?
Well, I mean,
what's the first thing that comes to mind when I say that?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is Vodka Martini shaken not stirred from James Bond.
Yeah.
Which is probably the most iconic, like, pop culture drink of all time. I don't think it's ever going to be topped.
No, I mean, it's you're right. It's iconic. It's in every film. They played with it
60 years or whatever.
Yeah. They played with it a little in Casino Royale. When Daniel Craig as James Bond, when he first orders it and the bartender's like shaking her stirred, he's like, does it look like I give a damn? Yeah. Which was really fun. And, they were obviously, making fun of themselves. So, but yeah, there's nothing more iconic than Bond ordering a martini.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I wrote down in my notes, and I mean, the martini's on here, but the first thing I wrote down was actually The Dude and His White Russians.
Oh, hell yeah. Big Lebowski. Such a great movie.
So
his dudeness, El Duderino, if you're not into the whole brevity thing. God damn, that's so good.
So I went to University of Western Ontario in London, and in my first year, I took Intro to Film. And one of our big pieces that we had to study and write a report for was The Big Lebowski.
You said big piece, by the way. Sorry, just didn't want to let that go.
So I watched The Big Lebowski so many times, and then had like lectures about it, and still not sick of it. So I had to do it for school. Had to write a paper about it. It was a big piece, and had to and still I'm the dude, man.
Oh, it's so good.
So
I watched it not that long ago. Still hilarious.
Still great.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it's moments in that movie.
Yeah.
For me, the
bowling.
I was
the bowling sequence.
Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
With the Jesus.
Like, that guy's great. I don't roll on Shabbos. Like, the whole thing. That movie rules. That's really what a great choice. I'm gonna hit you with a weird one, just as we were thinking. Blue milk in Star Wars, does that count?
Oh, hell yeah, it counts.
Nice.
Blue milk, and then so from, and I'm trying to think, and me being a uber Star Wars nerd, I was trying to think of the specific animal's name from which crotchety old Luke takes the milk like right from the nipple.
Oh yeah.
And I can't think of it, but just I love that scene where he's got like that
scene.
Weird squish like plastic bottle where he just like just takes a haul and just like
That's so, and again, we're going to get into this with special edition episodes.
Yeah,
that's fan service done well.
Yes, like that was a great throwback to, all the blue milk jokes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was really good.
That's when filmmakers can, like, that's, like I said, that's fan service done very, very well.
Yeah.
There's other fan servicey bits from that newest last trilogy, which are problematic, but that's a good one.
That's fine.
Hit me with that.
So Mad Men, the old fashioned
good
from
call.
Mad Men, which I'm actually watching like right now, going through it. So I'd watched the first couple seasons, I don't know, years ago, and now my wife and I were actually going back through and watching it. They drink all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Like he is constantly smashed. Just. But anyways, so yeah, the old fashioned there. Something else that, because I was an awesome boyfriend back when Sex and the City's heyday, the Cosmo.
Cosmo.
Which again, always we're drinking in that show.
Yeah.
So I've got two more. So Romulan ale from Star Trek, which is illegal in the Federation, but every ship captain seems to have a bottle of it. Which
Nerd.
Which I always thought was great.
Do you have the other Star Trek one on your list? I mean,
Earl
Grey hot. Come on now.
Yeah, sorry.
The Picard staple.
Yeah.
Picard's a better captain than Kirk. Fight me on that. I don't care. Come at me.
Yeah. Hey,
nerds.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Picard's my captain. Yeah.
100%.
And then Swingers, Doers on the Rock.
Oh,
Doers on the Rocks.
In the bud.
Which oddly enough was so that was the first drink you ever ordered when you were legal, right? On that cruise?
So we went on a cruise when I was 18. So when
international
we were in
waters, baby.
Waters, I could drink. And yes, the first drink I ever ordered legally was a Doers on the Rocks, which was also, the first Scotch I bought myself, and it is not great. We should, we should
go back.
We should do a Swingers episode and just drink Doers or Glenfiddich, any Glen will do. Glenlivet, Glengower, any Glen will do.
Obviously not a blend, of course.
Of course not. No, but I remember ordering that Doers and then just being like, oh, I don't like this. I do not like this.
It was so much cooler when they did it in the movie.
Oh yeah. I would probably appreciate it now, but I mean, you're 18. I was 18, and I don't want to say too much that I was used to drinking other things because that wasn't legal.
No.
But I was drinking other stuff. That wasn't Scotch. But yeah, oh man, what a classic effing movie.
Classic movie. Double down.
We should totally do a Swingers pod and just drink Doers.
Yeah.
And just do that as a special thing. I love that idea. That's a fun one. All right, cool. That's hilarious. I'm trying to think if there's just any others off the top of my head. Blue Crack and Breaking Bad. Does that count? Or meth? Blue meth?
No, I don't think that quite counts.
I gotta watch that show again. That show was so good.
Yes, it was.
Here, I'm telling you this as my brother. Have you watched Startup?
No.
Have you heard about this show?
No.
Okay. So it's a show on Netflix. It's got starring Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
And not Adam Driver. Shit. This is gonna be annoying.
Another Adam?
Yeah.
Not Sandler.
No, not Sandler. Hold on. I gotta find this now. It's gonna drive me crazy.
I was gonna say,
but as I look it up, it's It's a show based in Miami that's surrounding the Haitian drug cartel, the FBI, and cryptocurrency.
Oh,
Um, there's like 3 seasons on
how have I not heard of this?
Adam Brody.
Oh, Adam Brody.
Yeah, Adam Brody. And like Martin Freeman's a corrupt FBI agent who's trying to extort this guy for money. And anyway,
Okay.
it's a little violent, but not crazy violent. But
Not Shirtless Bear Fighter violent, but
no. Well, maybe a little bit more violent than that. Anyway, I'm just telling you that as my brother,
Okay,
just as we're talking about shows. I watched the first episode, and then I told my wife, I was like, we should watch a show. It got me hooked right away.
Speaking of shows, and then we can go into our ratings after this.
Yeah.
Have you watched the first episode of Invincible?
Ooh, not yet. No, I haven't gotten into Invincible yet.
Oh, buddy.
I've been catching up on, like, I caught up on WandaVision.
Yeah.
And which fantastic, by the way.
Oh,
for those
great.
who haven't watched WandaVision yet, if you watch the first episode and you're like, what the shit is this? Please
Keep
stick
going.
it out.
Keep going.
Please stick it out. Because
the end's incredible.
It's so good.
The post-credit, you did watch the post-credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, sure did. Yeah, whole thing's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I haven't gotten into Invincible yet, which is crazy because I love Grizzly Shark so much, which Ryan Otley, who's like the main artist on Invincible.
Yeah.
So,
oh, it's anyways, we'll talk about Invincible some other time.
We've got all these plans for stuff. So anyway, let's rate these suckers and get out of
Let's
here.
rate it. All right. So I'm going to go first, and I am going to start with the book. So I am coming in at a solid 7.5 for this book. So it is something that I very much enjoy reading. It is, it's really entertaining. It's really funny. It has someone's going back for a second pour.
Sorry, I'm pouring just a little bit more for the rating.
It's not overly complicated. It doesn't take itself seriously. It's not something like, it doesn't have the epic feel, obviously, of like Infinity Gauntlet or like War of the Realms. So like, it doesn't have a lot of weight behind it. Like, it's not some genre defining piece of work. So like, I feel like it's a little handicapped because of that. Like, it's not going to break up into the upper echelon, but the artwork's great. The writing's great. It's a fun ride. 7.5.
I'm cool with that. I'm going to push it to an 8 just because of how surprised I was at how much not that I was surprised that I liked it, but just because it really came out of nowhere for me. But yeah, you basically hit everything there. The artwork's fantastic. The story's great. It's just so stupid and fun. Like, for me, it's what a comic book should be.
Yeah.
You know, like there's other books that, like, Court of Owls is like phenomenal seminal piece of work. Yeah. All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison. Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, like stuff like that, which is just like stuff everybody should read because of how amazing the stories are, and it's like character defining shit. Yeah. This is what a comic book should be. Yeah. Fun, hilarious artwork. Yeah. It makes you laugh. It makes you think. What do you want?
It's a fun time. It's great escapism. Yeah. All right. Hit me with do the whiskey.
I'm gonna come in at shit. I'm torn.
You were gonna go low, and then you remembered it's a Lagavulin.
No, I was gonna go high. I was gonna go high, and then I was gonna go a little bit higher, and then remembered it's $1.25, and for an extra $25, you can get the 16. Yeah, and there's like, but again, it's like it's good. So I'm gonna give it a 7.75 if I'm allowed to do that. I'm gonna fraction it out.
It's our show. We can do whatever we want.
I think it's better than a 75, but I don't think it's quite at an 80, just because of the price point compared to other stuff. The one thing I will say about this whiskey that I love is just, for me, it's that barbecued charred meat quality. Like, you can chew this Scotch, you can You know,
Yeah,
it's
don't sip and then just sort of swallow it right away. Like swirl it around, let it sit in your tongue, like really sort of work it in there,
that's
and
where
you're
that's where
gonna
for
pick up.
me, I'm getting the peppery
Yeah,
Montreal smoked meat kind of quality to it, right?
yeah,
Um, so yeah, so I'm like a 77, 78 out of 100 is what I'll say. So whatever we'll equate that to in the R out of 10 scale, but
yeah.
it's got to be in that.
All right. So I was just gonna go with a 7.5 again, and again, a lot of this has to do with the price. You know, it's a
Yeah.
special edition, so it's just priced higher. It's actually really hard to get now, just because of the
Yeah.
popularity of both Lagavulin and Nick Offerman. And I had a chance to, but there was one bottle left in Ottawa. The Whiskey Dad let me know because he's randomly on the LCBO website searching stuff and found one. And he's like, "Oh, like drive down and pick it up." And I was like,
Not
"Yeah,
randomly, that's his hobby.
yeah." He's retired. That's just what he can do now.
Funny. Yeah.
And I didn't do it, and I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't. But again, for 120, when for 145, 150, you can have the 16. So, anyways, that's why it's at a 7.5 to me. Now, again, 75 out of 100. It's a very drinkable, enjoyable dram.
Yeah, the way that I'm thinking is like you might be kicking yourself for that, but for that 115, 120, you could go get like a Glenmorangie, like Quinta Rubin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is a great bottle.
Yeah.
And
or like for $20 less, I could have the Bunahaben Toichinada. Right? Or the Ard, like I could save $20 and have an Ardbeg 10. Like, like it's
the Ben Romick peat smoke, the non-Isla peat smoke, that's like around $100 too. Like there's those other things.
There's just stuff.
But for the novelty of having, like, I'm happy I own one. Again, I'm gonna spend whatever it is, probably. I mean, unless it comes out at like $200 for this Guinness cask thing. But for like
split a
11,
bottle.
Exactly. Like I'm going to try and acquire one of those just because it's a Lagavulin.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see if the Guinness has any influence whatsoever. If you're going to get any of that like chocolately coffee notes that you get in Guinness, if any of that's going to seep into the whiskey, or if it's just going to be
I'm
gone.
hoping this is a much better experiment than the IPA casks like run that they did. So like
Glenfiddich
did an IPA, and like personally I found you could smell the hops, but it did next to nothing for me on the palate. Right. And I found it was much more of a novelty thing than like actually bringing something new that I really enjoyed. So I'm hoping that this does more than just, I assume Lagavulin being, I was going to say Lagavulin being who they are. I mean, it's not like Glenfiddichs or Sloaches in the market, right? Like
no.
Probably the most popular bottle of Scotch that is on anyone's shelf across most of the world is probably a Glenfiddich 12, right?
Yeah, I mean, there'll be like the Johnny Walkers and that kind of stuff, but from like
yeah. Anyways,
the single malt Scotchy stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are doing a lot of not weird stuff. Like people are doing a lot of cask things, and like I said, I tried the IPA one, and I was just kind of like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But no one else is like, I've never tried another like a stout.
No,
a stout one. Like the sherry and the wine barrels are the ones that like a lot of people are really kind of like. I mean, just recently on our neck pour sessions, we did like the Airy Bodega, which is a sherry cask, the Lefroy Carchis, which was a port and wine cask.
Yeah.
This over my right hand shoulder, this Talisker Distillers edition that I picked up, which is an Amoroso sherry, which
I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're using it in one of our group tastings with our club, but I grabbed a second bottle just to have because I really like Talisker, and then I was like, hey, there's a good deal on it, so I grabbed it. So we'll be doing that one as well. So I'm interested to see that. So there's a lot of these like wine, sweet wine, dessert wine.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people are doing beer casks or Guinness casks. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see what comes.
If only one of us had a couple casks at home that they could just pour a couple cans of.
Yeah, that's true. I guess you could just do that.
Guinness into and prep my own cask.
Should try with We'll talk
Anyways,
offline.
yeah.
There's a couple of really cool beers that I think you could like. Sorry, I'm just gonna say one on mic here. The Flying Monkey chocolate trifecta one.
Yeah.
I don't drink a lot of beer, but there's two beers that I always make sure that I get. That Flying Monkey chocolate, like triple chocolate
triple
stout
chocolate
one.
something. Yeah.
Chocolate milk stout or something like that. It's great. And then the other one's Muskoka Brewery's Winter Beard, which is
that one's really good too.
double chocolate cranberry stout. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
just on a nice cold Canadian night.
Rocks. I love that. Okay, so the pairing. Let's get into that one.
Yeah.
I'll go first on the pairing. I'm going to bump the pairing up. It's a 9.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
You know, it's Nick Offerman and a Shirtless Bear Fighter.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's surprising that Shirtless doesn't drink whiskey. Like if it wasn't,
I think, you know what? I think he does. It's just not captured on page.
Yeah. If they paid him in, like, I feel like they would pay him in Scotch instead of flapjacks, and he would have been just as fine.
Yeah.
And it would have been this whiskey.
Yeah. But they just showed up in the morning. That's why they paid him in flapjacks and maple syrup.
Fair.
If the helicopter had a ride in the evening, it would have been in Offerman Lagavulin. That's fine.
That's great.
So.
Well, that's going to be it for us this week, folks. Thank you so much. Make sure you're going to thewhiskeygeeks.com and staying up to date with everything that we've got going on there. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, ringing the bell. Please give us a rate and review on Apple or Spotify, wherever you are listening to this as well. Tell a friend. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Tell a friend. You can follow us on Instagram. Where can they find us on Instagram, Alex?
It's oddly enough, it's The Whiskey Geeks.
Oh my gosh.
I
all
know.
All this is flashing on the screen. If you're listening to it, check the description of the podcast because it'll all be in there. Big thank you to Colin Response for the use of Something About Your Love as our theme song. An amazing artist out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Go buy his stuff and listen to his album. Here's a spoiler. He's working on new music.
Hey now.
So hopefully in the next little bit, we'll be getting a new album from Colin because
Nice.
he's great.
Nice.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
Cool.
I feel like that was a lead into something, and then I just didn't have anything. But no,
that's like my podcaster brain where they're just like, you got anything else to plug? And it's like, we just did all of our plugs.
Sure, I should have something, but no, like
we'll plug the same stuff.
If you can head over to the website and give some of those articles a read, that would be fantastic. This week's was a lot of fun. This was great. Here's something fun. I'm glad we did do the re-record on this one because we talked about a lot of different stuff on this one. And
yeah, we went. We're better at this podcasting thing now too.
It's almost like a couple of reps, and we are better back and forthing.
Yeah, I agree. We'll here plug what's a show that give people a podcast recommendation that you're listening to.
Podcast
give me
recommendation.
Anything. Yeah, give me anything.
Okay. So all right. The giant D&D nerd that I am, I immediately was going to go to Critical Role.
I knew it.
But I'm not. I mean, you should be listening to Critical Role.
Yeah, Critical Role is pretty great.
However, something that is just starting is the Adventure Zone. So it's the McElroy brothers. If you know them from My Brother and Me or past seasons of the Adventure Zone. So they're actually just starting a new one. It is, is it Ethersea?
Yeah.
Is that right? So, and what I really like about it, the very first episode, they're actually playing through another tabletop game to create the world that the setting of their D&D campaign will then be in. Yeah. So they're a lot of fun. So it's 3 brothers and their dad. They get together, they play D&D. It's their comedy gold. So yeah, that's something that I'm listening to.
That is one of the shows that got us playing D&D.
It is, yeah. Their first adventure.
Their very first, and Nerd Poker with Brian Posehn were the two that I first started listening to.
Poker.
Jesus, that was loud. That I was like, man, I want to play this game. Which then we did led us to Critical Role. So I'm going to shout out Orbax and Pepper have a podcast.
Yes, they do.
Good friends of ours. The Monsters of Schlock. They have a really hilarious podcast where they interview various kind of performers. Like they'll do knife throwers and magicians and record label execs for punk labels and stuff. So go check out Orbex and Pepper Have a Podcast. I'm going to link to that in the description as well. A couple of great guys doing some great stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. A lot of fun.
Yeah. And they are... Yeah.
And they're just really good guys.
Well, one of them's really good. The other one's a dick. I'm just kidding. I love you both.
They know which one you're talking about.
He's a professional heel. I love you, Orbex. You're my favorite. Anyway, that's going to be it for us, folks. We really appreciate you checking us out. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much. And remember, Scotch and stories, they belong together. Cheers, bud.
I've used the same wooden comb for 3 decades. I have 1 bowl. I still get my milk delivered by horse.
You do?